If I'm right that this is the fastest, largest accumulation of wealth in all human history, right? If it goes to 100 trillion, to JC's point, the S&P is worth $50 trillion, or the US stock market, entire US stock. It's 100 years of accumulated value, and we're going to double that in a decade. This is the banana zone, gentlemen. This is the banana zone. So what happens at about this point in time, what we call crypto summer, we have this little shuffle around the all-time highs, and then everything just goes bananas.
Bitcoin's price is currently around 65,000 USD per coin, down almost 10,000 from the new all-time high.
Bitcoin drifting lower today after a steep weekend sell-off following Iran's attack against Israel.
Bitcoin prices tumbled over the weekend after Iran's missile attack on Israel.
With the highly anticipated halving only days away, the recent drop in price is a shock and has become a source of concern for some investors. But today, Raoul Pal, CEO of Global Macro Investor, sits down with Howard Lindzen and his crew and explains that this drop is all just part of the process and marks the beginning of the transition to crypto summer. In Raoul's words, this is the beginning of the greatest financial opportunity we've ever seen. And that small crash marked the starting call. Raoul's thesis isn't just empty optimism. He provides historical data and explains that around this time in previous cycles, long-term holders usually take some chips off the table, and this causes some downward price action akin to what we just experienced. But after some sideways action during and shortly after the halving, Bitcoin prices usually explode and it becomes unbuyable. He advises that interested investors get off the sidelines as quickly as possible, as a deadline is approaching. Let's jump in to hear it all.
So I discovered this chart back in 2020, and what it is the number of active wallets in crypto, crypto.com measure this, versus the, I guess, active IP addresses of the internet. And I always thought, well, this is a network adoption model, the same kind of thing. It's an adoption of a technology, and I wonder what they look like. And I put them over each other, and what we found was that obviously because the internet was the rails that already exists, the adoption of a new technology that uses those rails is faster. And it's actually twice the speed of the internet. So if you can get your heads around how big the internet was for all of us, this is happening at twice the speed. It's driven the fastest appreciating asset of all time. The compounded annual returns of, let's say, Bitcoin is about 150% a year, even with 80% drawdowns 4 times in the middle of it. We've literally never been given an asset like this with an adoption like this. And going forwards, if we just assume that the rate of growth just matches that of the internet from here until the end of 2025, we end up with 1 billion users. And if we extrapolate that out to 2030, we get to 4 billion users. So basically, this is a pervasive technology that's going to take over all of our lives in ways we don't really understand. It's not just going to be about investing in cryptocurrencies. It's just going to be the underlying rails of transactions. The really important thing is crypto right now is $2.7 trillion industry. It'll probably finish this cycle at $10 to $15 trillion. And by 2030 or so, it'll be $100 trillion, right? This is the largest, fastest accumulation of wealth in all human history. It's as simple as that. That's what that chart tells you. Now, what everybody does, and Howard, you explain, there is a bell curve, and you want to be on the left of the bell curve, which is actually the same as being the Jedi Master on the right of the bell curve. Everybody in the middle who overthinks it, it's simple. Number go up. That's the whole crypto thematic that you need to know. You can either do all the deep dive, and I must have done 10,000 hours on this, and I might be at the right side of the curve sometimes, but I don't mind being the left either. Just don't overthink it. The moment you overthink it, that's when you get yourself into trouble and you start not seeing it for what it is, you see it for what you want it to be. The number's going to keep going up, the adoption's going to keep going up. You don't need to know anything else. That's why it's so easy to get involved in it. If you go to the ludicrous thing that Paul Tudor Jones mentioned a while ago and Stan Druckenmiller talked about, is 80% of Bitcoin holders don't sell ever. Yeah, I mean, and it's the same with Ethereum, with the staking and everything else. So your actual supply is 20% plus the miners. The miners keep getting halved every 4 years. So you've got no supply. So that's, 20% of the, let's say, of the entire asset class, 2.7 trillion, is actually available to buy. You bring something like an ETF and things go bananas, right? The more people who adopt it, the more the price rises. Also, the really key thing is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the chart from Fidelity about the risk reward of assets. It's brilliant. So there's this big white page, all Fidelity branded, and here's a cluster of all of here's the NASDAQ, and here's gold, and here's oil, and here's all of that. They're all clustered in the bottom. Then there's a blank page, blank page, blank page, blank page, blank page, dot Bitcoin. It's a fucking alien asset class. We have never, ever had an asset class with this risk reward over a long-term time horizon and this performance in all of human history.
According to Fidelity Investments, one of the largest asset managers in the world and issuer of the second largest spot ETF, Bitcoin's risk-to-reward ratio is in a different universe. It's this chart that Raoul refers to, and it shows that Bitcoin's performance, or risk-to-reward ratio, is incomprehensibly far and above anything we've ever seen. Bitcoin's performance is outlandish, to say the least, and Raoul explains there's no reason for it to slow down anytime soon. He's predicted that the cryptocurrency market cap could be as high as $100 trillion within the decade. He explains that one of the key drivers for this growth is adoption, and he talks about memes and meme coins as the tokenization of culture. After that, he moves on to discuss his favorite picks for the cycle. Sit back as we bring you more clips from the interview.
It's really important to understand that memes rule the world. Religion is nothing more than a meme. Everything is memes. That's how humans communicate with each other. All value is memes. Gold is a meme. Everything is a meme. Okay, so that's fine. But let me give you a number that I think people need to understand. Americans spent $110 billion on lottery tickets last year. There's a 1 in 300 million probability of getting the payout. Of a smaller payout of, let's say, $1 million, it's probably 1 in 20 million. But if you go to the meme coin casino in a trending market, your probability is probably 20x better. So if you are a 25-year-old, you have no chance of buying a house, the S&P's too goddamn expensive for you to buy it, here's your opportunity. You can make 100x, 1,000x, 10,000x. We've seen them all in the last 2 months. And so of course it's going to attract people, and it's rational behavior because they don't have a way out. So even Phil, your example of Bitcoin going from 60,000 to 1 million, that's a 14x. That's not going to move the dial for somebody with 5 grand. So they have to take risk. Wait till Taylor Swift has a token economy or sports teams properly. This is where it's going, right? We're going to a world where we will have equity in our culturally important things to us. In a world of AI replacing jobs, this is the future. You can't see it yet because it's super speculative and it's super early. But what we're doing is we're creating little mini groups of tokenized economies around ideas, memes, culture. We're tokenizing culture. And as you rightly say, Howard, this was a moment that people look back on, much like they'll look back on NFTs from last cycle. You know, NFTs in the end are going to be every single ticket, every single contract. But that was the start. It happened to be art. And this is the start. It happened to be a dog with a f***ing hat.
Raoul believes meme coins are the tokenization of culture, and that in a world where most jobs are performed by AI, he believes this culture tokenization is what most of humanity will revolve around. He expects this to become a critical talking point in history and stresses that it's only begun. Next, he discusses his banana zone thesis and even reveals his portfolio for the coming cycle. Let's head back in.
This is the banana zone, gentlemen. This is the banana zone. So what happens at about this point in time, what we call crypto summer, we have this little shuffle around the all-time highs, and then everything just goes bananas.
How long do you think it takes us to finally break out and start seeing 80, 90, 100? Like, how long do you think this absorption of overhead supply is going to take?
I've been using the thesis of don't f this up. Don't f this up. It's just keep 90%. If you're in crypto, keep 90% in the world-class top assets, and then do what you want with the 10%.
What are the top assets?
For me, it's Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. My bet is Solana. I'm quite risk-seeking.
What about punks?
I've been
Punk's culture.
Yeah, but they're all tokens, but they're all tokens.
I agree, and I own punks, and I own all sorts of stuff, but that's based on the ETH economy. I own the ETH economy, a small amount of the Bitcoin economy, and I think the official measurement would be a ton for me of the Solana economy. That's how I've done it.
Solana is currently trading at around 150 USD per coin, and Raoul conservatively estimates it could go as high as 1,000 USD per coin, a staggering 670% increase in value, and that is why it is Raoul's top pick. But Raoul is confident that investing in any solid asset like Bitcoin or Ether will make you wealthy in this period as long as you abide by his don't f this up thesis. And the rules are simple. Allot a maximum of 10% of your portfolio for trading memes, but just buy the core assets and hold. It's simple, but Raoul is confident that this simplicity will end up yielding the highest returns. What do you think about Raoul's bullishness on Solana and crypto overall? To see the latest in crypto news, watch this video here.